Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Thomas Jefferson said, "If you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done." Benjamin Franklin said, "Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning." Basically, get off your duff, get to working, you've got dreams, you've got goals, you've got to do what it takes to get them. Like, subscribe, comment, show what your opinion is. Let me know if you like what you've seen. And I thank you for your support. I'm going to start this is an analysis of what I think went on. For those of you that know me or have listened to me for a little while, are well aware of the fact that I am not a MAGA Republican. I'm a small government, bordering on anarchy, conservative who has problems with Trump, but I think Trump did a pretty good job as president. And I'm actually going to vote for him this time around. Didn't vote for him the previous 2 times. This time I'm going to vote for him. I've seen what the Democratic Socialist Workers' Party has done, and I have been somewhat impressed with many other ways that he has been, and so I'm going to vote for him this time. But I am not a MAGA Republican. This is not going to be a political tirade all for Trump. This is going to be about what happened the other day when that young man attempted to assassinate him. There is a second point. At the recording of this video, Donald Trump has picked an Appalachian American, a person that grew up in the mountains of the Appalachians. We call ourselves hillbillies because I grew up there, but I'm really a redneck. But hillbillies are fine with me too, so they're normally really good people. So that's something else that me and J.D. Vance share, along with the fact of that we didn't start out as Trump fans, but we're both supporting him this election. So congratulations, Senator Vance. And I actually hope that you show out and go beyond just this. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about on this whole endeavor is the fact of that it is looking way too seriously that the Secret Service was trying to act like the Roman Praetorian Guard in trying to decide the next election in their own manner. There are way too many questions and way too many failures for this to have been a Secret Service that was doing their job. I mean, I'm well aware that there are members of the Secret Service that were doing their jobs there that day. But this 20-year-old that looks like he only plays Call of Duty got way too close, thankfully and missed, to Trump. Seriously. You should not be able to get that close to somebody that is being protected by what is supposed to be the best protective detail in the world. Supposed to be. It isn't, as it was proven. Seriously, I'm thinking they need to be gotten out of there because Mayorkas seems to have corrupted them or something. Mayorkas may not have. But it's too many questions to be answered. The answers I honestly don't believe are going to come out correctly. And this is what they're looking like. They are looking like they were going to decide who was going to be the leader of this country. Last 150 years or so of the major Roman Empire, the Praetorian Guard guarded the emperors and also had a big, big voice into who became the emperor. Now, I already have a lot of questions about how our law enforcement how the federal law enforcement has been treating Trump, which, by the way, to all the Democratic Socialist Workers' Party members that are listening, if any of you are, yes, your use of law enforcement is highly questionable in this matter, as has been proven by actual legal stances. And so, why would the Secret Service have allowed this many failures? I've heard Secret Service agents trying to protect the Secret Service protective detail. You can't defend this at all. Now let's see some stuff here. I'm going to let you hear a news broadcast. This is actually from Phoenix, and it's going to give you some information that I want you to hear, and they're going to describe the map a little bit, and we're going to talk about that.
We continue to cover the attempted assassination of former President Trump today. You're looking at pictures of the event. We just heard from an FBI official, along with local officials in Butler County, Pennsylvania. They believe a 20-year-old man from the county was the shooter. They have not released his name. Clearly, they know who he is, but are trying to figure out the motives behind this and if anyone else was involved. But back to the shooting itself, heard around the world. The former president said he was hit in the ear. You see the blood streaming from the side of his face. Several other people were shot as well. One of them died. 2 others are in critical condition tonight. So how could this happen? How could the shooter get this close? Let's look at a map of the area again. The Secret Service released a little bit more information on this. You see how close that building appears to be to the stage, just off to the side there. They say the gunman was off the property on top of that roof, maybe 200 or 300 feet away from the stage, and then fired up to 10 times with an AR-15 style rifle. The shooter was also killed by the Secret Service, but again, the identity and the motives have not been released.
As a redneck and a Marine, I am sitting here looking at this map. 130 yards. It's a football field and a third. As both a redneck and a Marine, I am looking at this map and know full well that fellow rednecks, fellow Marines are looking at this map going, how do you miss your target? This is the only thing this boy messed up on. He couldn't hit quite as well as he should have. There's supposed to be 10 shots, 8 to 10 shots that were made. How many Marines out there are well aware of the fact that this should have happened? There was a police officer, the only person that engaged, and this might have been the only saving grace for Trump, but not for the 2 people that died. A police officer, not Secret Service agent. There seemed to be no counter sniper anything. in this. A police officer noticed that he was up on the building. And the guy turned around with his rifle and scared the cop down before the cop could get back up there to approach him, because he was on the shoulders of another cop. This guy turned around and opened fire. This may have been the only saving grace of the situation. 2 people died, so it wasn't that big a one. Trump got hit, but this guy may have been in too much of a hurry. That may have been that cop. Most likely saved Trump's life. This is not that difficult of a shot. And as if you're wondering, any of y'all non-military folks, well, okay, non-Marine and Army and non-Navy SEAL, the rest of y'all may not understand this, but those of us that had to qualify with our rifle every year, 200, 300, and 500 yards were what we shot when I was in the Marine Corps. Now, mind you, I've since been told that they've added sights to the M4s back in my day. And you young whippersnappers don't know about this. But back in my day, back in 93, we used iron sights. We had no scope on there. I don't know anything about scope now. I haven't seen it. Well, I've seen pictures of it, but I haven't used one of the kind that they use. But I can't imagine that at 130 yards, getting off 8 to 10 rounds, that there should not have been a hit on Trump. How did he get that close? Seriously, how did he get that close? This young man had no training to be able to get that close. Seriously. The boy's 20 years old. No military background. He looks like he spends more time playing Call of Duty than he does doing anything in the real world. You're telling me that this kid, who, okay, it's not that difficult to figure out how to make explosives. IEDs are not that difficult to make. This coming from somebody in the Marine that had been in the Marine Corps, and, well, I'm a redneck, and, well, I may or may not have gone dynamite fishing once or twice in my lifetime. May or may not have. It's not that difficult to improvise something. There are recipes all over the place for this stuff online. They've got it on the dark web. I don't know where he would have bought explosives. This is not necessarily something... If this is becoming easier to buy, this is a little weird. But if they were IEDs, you can make them out of fireworks. You can make them. But it's still kind of interesting that this kid was able to get on a building while Trump was speaking, or before, get that close to a supposedly protected person, and only be seen finally at the end. 130 yards. That is, seriously, go walk a football field and then walk back 30 yards. Now, it may seem like a long ways, but decent eyesight, actually, yeah, decent eyesight, that's not that hard of a shot. So I'm not saying that this kid needed to have advanced training, but there should have been, to get that close to somebody protected by the Secret Service, this should not have happened. Period. End of story. This should not have happened. So somebody's going to have to explain this to me, how and why this should not be considered that somebody within the Secret Service was not attempting to make a political play. Seriously. So let's quit cutting to the chase, or let's quit paying attention to all that. Here's what we should pay attention to. This looks way too suspicious. Way too suspicious. After the past year of what they have been attempting to do to Donald Trump. If you think about it, how many other people who have done the same thing, given payoff money to end a court case? How many companies, how many people have done the exact same thing, yet none of them have ever been taken to court? The value of a Florida property causing somebody in the state of New York to be taken to court? That's never happened either, I bet. Now, there might be Florida properties involved, but I guarantee you, if you look at it, that there's never been a time that property in another state has been the one and only part of a court case in another state. The President of the United States has the ability to declassify documents. Vice President doesn't, but the President does. So if those documents were at Mar-a-Lago, he legally had the ability, because they most likely got there while he was president. If he wanted to keep them, he would have had to declassify them, and he would have. And let's not even talk about how hard Dominion and the Democratic Socialist Workers' Party has been fighting, because they don't want it to be let out that there's voter fraud in this country. They continuously say it, and this past time they went whole hog because of Trump. They worked to take out Trump supporters and Trump himself. Seriously. And none of that's worked. He's still running for president. And then all of a sudden, a 20-year-old boy who does... Don't tell me he doesn't. Unless they come back and say, oh yeah, for the past 2 years he's done this kind of training. I doubt that that's going to be the case. That they're going to say this about that boy. So how does he get within 130 yards of somebody who is protected by the Secret Service? Secret Service falls under the Department of Homeland Security. Mayorkas, who the Republican Party tried to impeach, is in charge of Department of Homeland Security. It seems awful suspicious, because after all the things that was done, It's awful suspicious. That's all I'm going to say. Now, am I saying that all Secret Service agents are going to have been part of anything like this? Could this have been just a monumental lack of intelligence on the part of the leaders of Trump's security detail? Sure, it could have been. A whole lot of things could have been, but we're talking Secret Service. I don't think so. But hey, you know. Well, this has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. I want y'all to think about all this. Talk about it amongst yourselves. And tell me if this does not sound like it's a Praetorian Guard situation. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.